Hello, 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 everyone. I know you've missed me. I've been gone. I apologize. I was on vacation. Actually, I don't apologize because I need a vacation. We all should have them. I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it, but I am back. My name is C. I'm the owner of CLM Custom Designs on Etsy, now on Shopify, also on YouTube. I am back with another segment from the ground up. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell, so you can be notified when anything is dropping, and also make sure you hit the like. We are getting started with my girl Tashena Gonzalez. So Tashena, going to introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
Absolutely. So I am Tashena and I am from Michigan. I love my state. And I refer to myself as a holistic business coach. When people hear that, they're like, okay, what does that mean? So I actually have a lot of certifications in marketing. I'm monetized on Instagram, working on getting monetized on YouTube. I
Okay.
do a lot of like branding, and a lot of it has to do with like the mindset. And so I do workshops for corporations and sales teams, and then I do a lot of free things. And I also work with small business owners and busy professionals, just helping them to up level their skills. So I do a variety of things like teaching like personality types and strength finders.
Okay.
And then on top of that,
All right.
especially in the past 3 years, when everything got like more stressful, I went ahead and I got certifications in mindfulness, nutrition, aromatherapy, herbs, easy and achievable weight loss. So I actually have a holistic approach. So all of my business clients also know about deep breathing and the benefits of aromatherapy and how to eat right. So I tell people I help turn chaos into clarity. I help you up level your business, your sales, your life without getting stressed out.
Okay, okay. Well, that's good because we are all stressed. And one thing that you need to do is manage your stress, because when you're stressed out, then it's going to show in your business, it's going to show in your home life, it's going to kind of show everywhere. I didn't even know you can get certifications and all that kind of stuff that you even talked about in mind, the body, all of that. So you're going to have to like break all this down. It sounds like you kind of take care of people from the beginning to the end. You're going to set up their business and get them going and help them to level up and all of that, but you're going to help them stay de-stressed also in the meantime. So tell us, how does one fall into that space?
Well, honestly, being an individual that needed all of those things
Okay.
myself, right? So I do a lot of self development. I do a lot of reading of books, and I have just naturally been a teacher and a coacher for most of my life. And so I
Okay.
started doing it for free on my day job. I still have a day job in the
No.
automotive profession in the automotive industry. I did a lot of just coaching in the women's space. I did a lot of coaching in most large companies have what they call affinity groups or just different employee resource groups. And a lot of times they're based on ethnicities or disabilities, or like there's a women's group. So I started doing a group coaching, and I was doing it for individuals that were of higher levels than me and lower levels than me. I was doing it with Gen Zers who were a lot younger than me, people of my age group, women, Latinos, just in a lot of different areas.
Okay.
And so because I was doing it for free, I was like, I should like try to do this for other people. This is kind of fun, and this is what I do. And even like 20 years back, I was the person who, when there was a new team member, I would just automatically start training them, make things easier for them, whether that was my job or not.
Okay.
So I because I hate coming into I always just would create new tools and stuff because I hate coming in and being confused.
That
And then
makes
again, I started on my little holistic path like 7 years ago or so, mostly with the physical side because working in the automotive industry was super stressful. I was too young for all the health problems that I had. And I was like,
sense.
something's got to change. And that started with no longer eating like pizza once a month and Buffalo Wild Wings once a week, fast food and stuff like that, and exercising. But then I just started going more and more into that. So I just have this outgoing, extroverted personality. And when I'm learning something, I want to share it with other people. And eventually you run out of time and you're like, okay, either I got to start charging people for this or I'm not going to be able to do all this.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That's good though, because when you're an entrepreneur and you work full time and family responsibilities and other things, you tend the first thing that usually goes is you. Like you eat garbage because you just want to get something fast and just before this, I ran through McDonald's because I was like, I'm hungry. I don't have time to cook. I got all this going on. And I knew as I was sitting in the drive through, like, this is just garbage that I'm about to eat. But I just,
Right.
I just need to get something in. So we tend to let ourselves go by the wayside. So that's kind of great that you're mindful of kind of incorporating that back kind of into it. So um how long, so first you started with the coaching piece, sounds
Mhm.
like, and then you added on with the holistic piece. So with the coaching piece, is that mostly like you do corporate companies and you're doing
I
like,
do everything in between. Like I can do coaching of an 18-year-old female who is in college and she just can't get it together and she needs some structure and she needs some types of stress relief techniques. Or I have a corporate contract like National Food Group, which is a Fortune 100 company, and I come in once a month to their sales team and I do a specific workshop on time management and for busy professionals, or um, the 5 languages of appreciation for the work setting to help them get better sales.
okay,
And then I have small businesses like coffee shops where we talk about and we lay out what should your plan be for the next year. So I network and whoever I find, I feel like they're supposed to be in my space. And if we talk and there's something I can help them with, then I'm gonna help them.
gotcha. Okay, great. So what were some of the challenges as you were kind of getting into these spaces? Would you say?
The challenges, the first challenge I think for me was to clearly define what I wanted to do and then clearly communicate that. Because I think people just have, I mean, of course, coaching is such a broad thing. And I mean, it's been around for 20 years, but people think of like Tony Robbins, and it's becoming more normal that people understand, okay, I need a therapist and I may need a coach. Like people kind of understand that now, but it's still some things that like maybe the everyday person doesn't really understand. So I think that was one of the hardest parts, being able to communicate clearly as well what I want to do and then clearly communicate how that works for other people.
Gotcha. Yeah. And like you said, coaching now, like everybody's coaching. So that word, they're like everybody's coaching. What does that like specifically mean? And this coaching in different spaces,
Yep.
which is kind of nice as well. So with your holistic approach, you mentioned that you changed your eating habits. And I know I was watching a couple of your videos on YouTube and you were talking about more aromatherapies versus candles and
Yep.
kind of things like that. So are you incorporating it in like during your day at work, take 5 minutes to breathe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely always have to do that. And that is what I promote no matter what I'm doing in the corporate setting. That is what I promote with other people. And I feel really privileged and blessed to be able to do that because I'm used at General Motors. We will have like this hour or 3 hour um, presentation that we have, and they'll put me on as one of the health and wellness people. And it's so amazing. Like those are two, like I've had two experiences in the past 6 months where I'm like, this is what I was built for. Like one of the things that will happen in the automotive industry is especially men that came from plants are like, I'm deep breathing, I'm high strung, but then when they're forced to sit down and I get a space for 5 minutes afterwards, they're like, man, it's amazing what pausing for 5 minutes can do. And then in another instance, when I was doing the sales team that I have that corporate contract with, and it's probably like 60% males and 40% females, I asked them to come back and tell me what one of the things they've been implementing. And one of the males was like, well, when I have 4 kids and now when they get really, really hyper, I will have them all lay on the floor, we'll all close our eyes and we'll just start to deep breathe for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, this is what I was built for. Like, I'm not just affecting one person, I'm affecting a family that now has techniques for stress relief.
Gotcha. Yeah. And like you said, just taking that pause sometimes can give you clarity, like in which direction to go, what's your next move, and all of that. Because we all know in the entrepreneurial space, sometimes it can be very overwhelming.
Yep. Yep.
And you're all over the place. So kind of to get centered and regroup. And
Yep.
like I
Like
said,
even today, earlier today, I was co-hosting an emotional wellness hour session that I have, and the benefit of that is I get to experience it myself. So even me, like I still have other practitioners that I will make my own appointments with and make sure that I'm remembering to do all of the techniques that I would be recommending to my clients.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, how long of a, I guess, study course, or what all is involved in getting into either the space of being a coach, and then the space of going into the wellness piece?
So what actually happened for me is that I ended up being at the beginning of what we all went through in 2020. I was actually laid off for a little bit. So that gave me time with my workaholic personality to be like, what am I going to do with myself? So there's each of the certifications that I have usually are somewhere between 80 to 120 hours of study that includes videos, articles, and tests that you have to take in order to complete it. So again, I have like, I don't know, 10 certifications, but I literally was so used to like working all day in the automotive industry as a salary position that's more hours that I just went and did school basically for 8 weeks
Okay.
and knocked out one certification, then knocked out the next and knocked out the next. So all of the ones that I took were online, but yes, it involves books, it involves videos, it involves passing the test. You don't get the certification until you pass the test. And a lot of times some practice with it as well when it has to do with like the aromatherapy side.
So you're just not some girl that decided you like the smell of lilac and you should sprinkle it on your wrist and like it too. You have
Correct.
actually
Correct. Correct.
done
Yes.
the work.
And I mean, I think in the United States, I could just say I'm a life coach. I don't think I don't think you need a certification, but I do have a certification in it.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's important, when you're talking like health and wellness, right? When you're
Yes.
speaking to people about what they should be putting in their body or putting on their body, that comes with some type of credentials. Because
Absolutely.
if you don't know what you're doing and somebody gets messed up. So, I just like to put it out there, disclaimer, this is just not somebody, like I said, who decides they like the way something smells, but you put in the work, put in the hours. And that's because other people who are watching this, I always like to express to other people, if you're looking to get into this space, um, even if, like you said, it doesn't require this or require that, it's always good to have that, because when
Absolutely.
people are looking for people and things, they want people with certifications.
Yeah.
So you could tell me all day, well, I don't need one. I don't need one. Well, okay, you might not need one, but I need one.
Right, right,
I
right.
need somebody who has something. So, when you're looking to get into these spaces, it's important to look into the certifications, to look into, all of that, so that you can have your credentials behind you. And so when someone asks, you can say, hey, yeah, I'm certified in that. And, you know, people love you until you do something wrong and then they want to sue you. So you need to
Right.
have all
Absolutely.
all those things kind of behind you, and you got people's lives in your hands. So
Absolutely.
you want to make sure that you're taking care of that. So if you had to give like one big tip to somebody who is going into this, what would you tell them, that maybe from your experience, things you wish you would have done differently, or you know
Um to start, definitely just start. I think that people keep thinking about what they need to do and they get overwhelmed. And I think that goes for any entrepreneur. But if you want to start a coaching business or in any type of service, I think people spend way too much time like prepping and not actually doing. And you have to actually, again, I recommend getting a certification if you need tips on where to do that. If you can only do it online because you work full time like I do, I can give you some tips on that. But as soon as I had my certification, then I was taking clients and take them at the level that you want. One of the things that I did first, because of course, when you start out, you're like, oh, I don't have any success stories, I don't have any testimonials. One of the things I did, I would trade services for people. So other people had certain services I would trade, and then I get testimonials. And then from there, you just start charging $50 an hour because you're not as good as Tony Robbins yet, and then you just move up, right? So, but start, because I have seen so many people that you say that they're life coaches, but I don't think that they never even take one client because they're just so scared.
Gotcha, gotcha. I love that you said you trade services. I mean, and I think that that's kind of can be the status quo in any business, because sometimes, like you said, you may not initially can find clients for what you do, or you might be initially, like you said, building portfolio, or maybe you're even necessarily afraid to start charging people initially. So trading services is always a good thing. I mean, the barter system is as old as, forever. So yeah, that's an awesome thing to do, no matter what business you're in. Find somebody who needs what you need and vice versa, and do some trading. And that also is a great form of networking, because then you get some people in different spaces, and then they can recommend you to someone else and vice versa. So I like that. That was the nugget for the day, people. I always try to give you a nugget. So that was a nugget. Trade services, use the barter system. It definitely works. And like, with any business, like you said, the money will come, but that's not the reason why you do it. Like you said, you love it, you're passionate. You said, this is why I know this is what I'm here to do. And that is going to be important whenever you start any type of business. You have to get into something that you love and that you're passionate about. So the days when you don't get any money coming in, you still can persevere and endure in what you're doing because you absolutely love it. So that's great. Was this something that you always thought you wanted to get into the space, or was it just that I heard you said there were some services that you need, and we know, necessity is the mother of all invention.
So the interesting fact is, when I went to college, I literally, my mother, she wanted me to be an accountant. I was like, no way. And she's like, what about finance? And I was like, no way. The best I can do is get a business degree in marketing. That's as close as I can come to any of that, right? But then when I went to go register, I literally sat there for like 30 minutes and was like teaching business. So I've always had this knack for teaching, for simplifying things. I was always a tutor. I always had Bible studies with young people. I could teach. I speak Spanish fluently and give Bible studies in Spanish, and I was able to teach people how to read in Spanish. So I've just always had this teaching thing. But when it came to what I should do with my life, I was like, teaching will never make me money. So I'm going to go into business. And then I ended up in the most typical area of Michigan in the automotive industry, which I also wouldn't have chosen. But I'm finding that I'm still a teacher, and I've always been a teacher by heart. I just do it in a different way. It's just called coaching now. So in some ways, this is what I was born to do and always born to do, but I've denied it for like 15 or so years, and it brought me back to it in a different format.
Gotcha. And that's what I always say too. Sometimes we fight against our natural abilities for so long because we think we want to do something else or whatever. But I always tell people, you kind of got to do what you know how to do. Like that's what makes it easy. It's stuff that you do all the time, but we always, for whatever reason, want to fight against that for so long because we always want to do something else. But like you said, it brings you back. Now, you touched on the fact that you speak Spanish, and I was going to touch on that because I watched your video, and it's one in English. And at first, I was like, "Is this a different video?" Then I was like, "No, I think she's saying the same thing. She's just doing it with Spanish." So, have you always spoke Spanish, or did you just do that as another angle?
I just started to learn it because it was needed in the area that I was in. So I happened to be in high school where there were a lot of migrant workers, Mexicans, and there was a need, and I loved language. I love people and diversity. So the degree that I ended up getting, business administration marketing, is actually international marketing and international business. So I have studied like different cultures and how they interact and all of that. So it's just language is part of a culture, and I love learning other cultures.
Okay. That's why I asked you initially, where are you from? Because I thought maybe you were in a foreign country. Like that. You do speak it very, very fluently and very well. But at the same time, it also gives you access to another group of people.
It does.
By being diversified. And I'm not necessarily saying that people should go learn another language to be able to do that. But if that is something that you have or interest in, then that is another way that you can, of course, extend your client base. Because and I love the fact that you do your videos in both. So you're not leaving anybody out. All I got is English and closed caption. So then
Yep.
you'll be able to read it. But yeah, I think that that's nice to be able to, and even if you can't speak a whole language, to be able to say maybe some key words, because of course you don't know who's going to need your service. You don't know who's
Right.
going to come across your channels or anything like that. So even if you can give them like maybe a small sentence and synopsis of whatever you can do,
Yeah, I'm always down for that. Like when I travel elsewhere, I know I had been with some friends in Brazil and stuff, and so I did one little video in like about lavender in Portuguese because I'd given out a bunch of samples and stuff to people, and I was like, this is probably sounds like a 3-year-old, and it's got an American / Spanish accent on Portuguese, and it's probably the worst thing ever, but who knows? One person, their curiosity might be sparked, and then they'll Google stuff for themselves.
Yeah. So you're a busy person and you have a lot on your plate and you are a partaker of your own businesses. So what do you do to unwind? What do you do when you're stressed out? Like I said, all entrepreneurs were probably like that. So what would you give as a tip to say, hey, how do you just kind of sit down, refocus? And because we were talking about you being on vacation, but still working and interviewing with me, and I appreciate it. But how do you really, kind of turn that off?
So I'm a very scheduled person, and so I'm that much scheduled when it comes to my self-care.
Huh.
So for me, I treat myself to certain things, and it depends on everybody's budget or what they want to do. But I'm the person that, yes, I can paint my own nails, and yes, I could have some little hand massage thing, but I'm the one that's going to go out. Like I had a massage today. That was part of what I did, right? Did my volunteer service in the morning, and then had lunch. I had another, like I said, emotional wellness I had to do, but I left the house and I got a massage today for me. This weekend, tomorrow I won't be working at all. I'm taking some time and I'm going to the other side of Tennessee, and I'm going to be in nature, and I'm going to walk around and see falls, and then in the evening I'm going to go to a lounge. So I make sure that I schedule my downtime and my fun time. I'm an extreme extrovert. I like being around people, so I like leaving my house and dancing and stuff. After this, I'm going out to a lounge with some friends and enjoying some time, and that'll be, no work time. So even when it comes to just the deep breathing or the mindfulness, that's what I tell busy professionals. Like, if you have to put it on your calendar for the next 3 weeks so that it's a habit, at 9:00, lunchtime, at 5:00 to do your 5 minutes of deep breathing, put it on your calendar and protect it and make it that important.
I love that that you said schedule that, because most people wouldn't think to schedule, those type of things. But it makes me think of the Apple Watch. Every so often they'll say, stand up, it's time to move, it's time to do something. You know what I mean? So, and if you don't have that prompt, you probably wouldn't. At least I know I wouldn't. It makes me very mindful to get up and move. I'm like, I've been sitting down in this chair at work for this amount of time. So I love that you said to schedule that. That's another nugget, guys. Schedule your downtime. And then that way, nothing can get involved in that, because on the calendar, this is my time to go out and see a movie or whatever else, and you just don't let anything else get into that. So I absolutely love that. Serena says she's gonna put that on the calendar. Yeah, you really need to, because before you know it, the day, the week, the month, I mean, it's almost 2023 and I don't even know how we got here. So I understand when you say to actually schedule it. And I have to say, my husband is a big proponent of that too. He's always like, you want to do something? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, schedule it, and then nothing will happen. And I'm always fighting him on that. But I guess that makes sense. If you schedule it, then instead of saying I don't know what I'll be doing, then you do, and don't let nothing else kind of get into that. So okay, 2K hubby, you win. Come on the other side with that. So I absolutely we're getting all kind of gems and nuggets today. Okay, great. Now I have to ask you about this.
Yes.
In that video, when you said don't do candles, do aromatherapy. Now, mind you, I do aromatherapy. I have a diffuser and I do all of that, but I do it for safety reasons, because if I fall asleep or something, my house won't burn down. But apparently there's other reasons why we should be doing that.
Yeah, so most candles actually, if you think about what a candle is doing, it's burning something. And most of the materials that are in candles are not breathable. And I personally was a candle junkie. Like I got my coupons, especially they would have so many in the fall, and like I would have them in every single room of my house. And just like, yeah, my ex-husband used to be like, can you just at least have the same scents? Like, why are you like, this is
You
insane. Like,
smoking them
I
out.
was just like, I loved my candles, and the scents in and of themselves are relaxing. But there's been lots of studies that have shown that like not just candles, but even some of the cleaning stuff that we have, and like especially in the wintertime, between candles and plugins and some of the toxic cleaning things that we have, our indoor air quality is more toxic sometimes than outdoor when we
Okay.
don't. So I actually teach on the 8 dimensions of wellness, and one of the ones that I teach on is environmental wellness.
Oh.
And we can improve our respiratory health when we start taking those volatile scents that have certain heavy chemicals out of our household. So I used to be diagnosed with asthma, and I
Okay.
used to get sick very, very often. And once I removed some of these chemicals, again, not just the candles, but candles, plugins, and certain types of cleaning products, the ones that if you ever read the back of them tell you you need to wear a mask when you use them and you need to open all your windows, but sometimes we don't even read that it says that. When I started removing those 3 things from my house, I got rid of my asthma and I
Wow.
had less respiratory issues. So that's why I recommend to other people to look at cleaning some of those things out. And you could Google all day long. Like Google dangers in candles and see what other doctors or what the American Lung Society says. You can find about cleaning products on the American Lung Society website and about candles. If you just Google it, you'll find it all there.
Okay. Okay. So there you go, guys. Check it out. So that's just some of the things that she can do for you as a wellness coach.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to help you improve your mental health and your physical health. At the same time, she's going to level up your business. All things that we want to do with 2023 coming in. Now's the time where we start looking at what we're going to be doing differently next year, how we can revamp, rebrand, all those things for the upcoming year. So I know we are overwhelmed with coaches all the time, but I think you got to kind of really look at what you need in terms of coaching. There may be things that bleach is bad for your health. Yes, it is, even though bleach is one of my most favorite things in the world. And I don't think it's clean unless I smell bleach. So, yes, I do have that particular problem. But, you need to start looking at areas where you need coaching. Your business may be fabulous, but if you're stressed out,
Yes.
or burning out, then you might need a coach for that, right? Things that we don't think about. We're thinking about, your usual coaches, but there are, coaches for other things. And sometimes again, if you're a person who can't regulate that, who can't stop and who can't, take those 5 minutes, and you just need somebody that you can check in with, because your business is no good if you're burnt out. If you're stressed, you won't be able to enjoy the fruits of your business if you're not taking those moments. So those are things to look at. And even though you're in Michigan, right, you service
Yes.
people everywhere, I would assume.
Yep, all over the world, because I mean that's what our business went to, right? Our business went to Zoom. Again, I love doing in-person workshops, and thankfully the corporate client that I have, I can do it in person now because I've had them for the past 9 months. But yeah, I do everything on Zoom, so we can, and if you need other tools, we send the tools in the mail.
Okay.
But we can do any and everything via Zoom.
Yeah, and I always say that if the pandemic had any plus sides, it was the fact that it opened up a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs and other people. It made us think a little differently, think outside the box, because sometimes we get very focused, like this is the only way we can do this. But it's not. I mean, Zoom has let us know that, there's a whole way to continue doing what you're doing without interruption, by means of Zoom. So there were some positive things that came out of that. But I also would assume that that in of itself has probably brought you a lot of business, because there are a lot of people that were also affected by the pandemic,
Yep.
that didn't even know that they had issues, right?
Yep.
So being kind of concealed for 2 years, not necessarily, especially people who are single, right? Maybe don't have mates, don't have animals, and they were confined to their homes. You know what I mean? It did a lot to people mentally, did a lot to people physically. And, now we know it's long-term COVID, so people are still dealing with that. So, yet another reason,
Yes.
that people may need coaches. So you mentioned a lot of things that you did. Is there anything that you do that you have not mentioned?
No, nothing that I have not mentioned, but I just want to share that I have a lot of free resources. So,
Okay.
yes, I want paid clients, but I also have over 1,000 videos on YouTube that I've accumulated over the past 4 years. So you can reach out to me anytime and ask me a question. And if I have a 15-minute video that can help you now, I'm gonna go with that first.
Gotcha. So what is the name of your business?
Viva Activa, which basically is life active, the way you would say the active life in Spanish, because
Okay.
that's how I am. I'm an active person.
Okay. I didn't want to mess up the pronunciation, so I wanted to ask you, and you explain where the meaning came from. So, we talked about going into 2023. Where do you see your business going?
So one of the main things that I'm focusing on is helping more corporations. So I'm blessed to give a workshop on emotional regulation as a future trend at the National Facilities Management Technology Conference in Baltimore. So I'm looking to do more of those type and just spread the message more against for the people that again didn't realize they had problems. Like they were fine before, but then everything we went through from March of 2020, everybody needs some deep breathing, everybody needs some mindfulness. And statistics actually shows that you will increase productivity and profitability and all the things when you do that. So at the end, it's a good business move to take time to do that.
Gotcha. Okay, so you come to my neck of woods, to Maryland, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Nice. So yeah, I also think it's important with business to give back. Everything is not about being paid. Sometimes you gotta give, you get freely, you give freely. A lot of times, people have given to us some, like we are now giving nuggets and things like that. So you kind of pay it forward,
Yes.
and help other people kind of get into the space. And I think that is so sorely missing in corporate. Everybody wants to hold everything to the cuff, because if I tell you, then you might take something from me, a client or whatever. I always tell people there's a McDonald's and a Burger King on every corner, and neither one ever goes out of business. So there is
Right.
enough traffic out there for everyone.
Right.
And when you hold things tight, you can't let anything in or out. So, it's just not good. So that's why I do what I do, because I want
Yes.
to help people who are getting on this journey, because as I say, it's not for the faint of hearts. It can be great, but also there's some challenges that come with it. And so I'm a big proponent of talking about the good, but also talking about the bad, because you are going to hit that.
Yes.
That is going to happen. And so I want people to kind of understand, and also kind of build a community and a network. Like you said, if there's a question, if there's something that you need, that someone can help you. Mind you, we can't build your business for you.
Right.
We can't do all of that, but we can certainly, help you along, hold you accountable, give you those pushes, because we all get to the point some days where we're just tapped out and we need
Yep.
someone to say, you can do it. It's okay. You can do it. You can do it. So that's what I hope I'm providing as a platform. And I hope that everybody that I have on is also kind of extending that kindness. So are you a one-man show? Do you do all of this by yourself? Do you have a team kind of?
I'm not a one-man show. I definitely use a lot of tools. I'm so big proponent on using tools. So if you don't know about tools and don't know how to set up tools, I'm one of the people that will help you with that. You should have a calendar system. You should have MailChimp. You should have a texting service. And I have a virtual assistant.
Okay.
I am the person that wants to people as much as possible. So I provide the framework for what the emails and the texts are going to do, and I ship it over to my virtual assistant. Um, I have the capability to edit videos, but I don't want to edit videos. If it was up to me, you would see my screwed up face on the front of every video, and I just wouldn't care. I'll just leave it like that. So my virtual assistant edits my videos. Um, I'm trying to think what else she does. I do some audio mindfulness things, so she'll edit that for my audio podcast. But yeah, I have a virtual assistant so that I can concentrate on my clients. All of that stuff that someone else can do. Oh, she posts my classes on public sites. She responds with generic messages to new followers, and then if they converse with me, then I follow up. So yes, I need help. I can't do this all by myself.
Right. And most of us cannot. We have a team or somebody or people who help us to do what we do. And that's another good tip, that you got to have people in your corner, good people who can help you, who are reliable, who are dependable, so that they can pick up the slack when you're gone, and so that you'll be able to take those moments of vacations or whatever and know that things are still going to run. It just made me think, I wanted to go back to what you said about the things that you do, like get massages and things like that. And I love that you said, I can paint my nails, I can do whatever, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to pamper me. And I love that, because sometimes, as entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time cutting corners, looking at numbers, how much does this cost and whatever. And I remember I have a girlfriend that always says, you can be cheap with anything you want, but never be cheap with yourself.
Yeah.
Spend the money on you because you're worth it. And so if that's the only time, if that's your getaway, then let somebody rub your feet or do whatever. It's not the fact that you can't do it. It's the fact that you need to pamper yourself. You need to take that time. So I did wanted to go back to that, because I absolutely, I love that. Like, just get somebody else to do it. Yeah, I think
definitely. And just a little bit more like on the whole, are you a one-man show thing too? So one of the programs that I will provide with entrepreneurs that like need direction and stuff like that is I do a program called Strength Finders, and we walk through what their strengths are and create a power statement. And that's really how you get ahead with things. I have a workshop that I do on Strength Finders that I just did for another networking group. And so to me, that's why it's important for me to have a virtual assistant. That allows me to work in my strengths, because again, I am the social person, I'm the people person. I thrive when I'm with my clients or doing my workshops or speaking. I'm fully capable of writing an email and sending an email and sending a text, but those things drain me and they're not in my strengths. So I pay someone to do things that are outside of my strengths.
Yeah. And that comes with knowing yourself. That may come with time too, because when you start, obviously you may not be in a position to financially hire all these people. Right. But as you get to those spaces, you got to kind of start to realize, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, and kind of form out the things so that you can focus kind of on what you do best. But those other things still need to be done, which is why we have accountants and tax people and all that, because we recognize we have to pay taxes. We just don't know how to do them, right? But they still have to be done. So you bring those people in your life, and you find those people, and and that's what great networking does, because you ask somebody, well, who are you using? Because you want to make sure, again, that you have good, solid people behind you to do all those things. So I think that is absolutely great. So where can people find you if they want to hire you, if they want to check out your videos? We do have the ticker tape strolling.
Yeah. So if I'm on Instagram 2 to 3 times a day with my reels, what I'm doing, stuff like that, with tips. So Instagram, you'll definitely find me all the time, and that is Sweet Canela 5. That means sweet cinnamon 5, actually, in Spanish.
Okay.
So you can see how it's spelled in the ticker there. So I'd love for you guys to follow me. On my Instagram, you'll find my milkshake link, where you can get every single way to contact me. And then I would definitely recommend everybody subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's just my name, Tashena Gonzalez, with an S at the end. And again, everything that you're thinking about right now, I probably will have something coming up on that. Like, I have classes, and then I post those classes there. I know I have like Immune System 101 coming up. Do it yourself, jumpstart your health coming up. All the things that you're going to be thinking about in this season, I'll have classes and free information going there. So I'd love for everyone to follow me there.
Got you. So guys, you've heard it. got all her handles. Check her out. She's not hard to find. Just put in her name, Tanisha Gonzalez with an S on the end, and check it out. Check out some of her videos or whatever. Get some tips for your health, for relaxing, which we all need, and maybe some new things going into the new year. And if you're thinking about starting a business, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to talk to you about things you need to do to kind of get started. So, Tashena, do you see yourself soon, perhaps maybe making this your full-time one and only?
So that definitely is the goal. This past year, so I actually was spitting out and publicizing a date. And
Oh,
then I was rear-ended and I had a minor surgery that was not related. And with all of that, the flywheel was not running for like 3 months after that. So one of the things that I'm working on is a couple of minor streams of income. And one of the things that when I was working with my coach, because I would have, shame about moving a date or whatever, he was like, how about you like go a year without publicizing a date? Which was just like, I'm so like results oriented and task oriented. How can I move without having a date? But one of the things that I told myself and realized, and now especially that I got this new workshop that I'm doing at this huge conference, is that you're always going to be in the place that you need to be, right? So I feel like my whole date that I had that didn't work out is because I haven't helped enough corporate people. Like I'm still needed where I am.
okay.
And so right now my whole goal in 2023 is just to spread the message with people who it's something new for them. Like they're releasing my talk as a future trend. Like most corporate people, most people in facilities management in the automotive industry are not thinking about mindfulness or deep breathing or how they just absolutely have to eat right. So my whole goal in 2023 is to spread the message to these people who have not heard it and to just let that take me where I need to be. Definitely 5 years or less. Absolutely want this to be my full-time thing. But a little bit softer and saying, yes, this is going to happen in the next 12 months.
Yeah, and it's being kinder to yourself too, because that's a lot of stress to try to hit those dates. And something else that people looking to be in business is you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Right. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like you said, 7 years you've been doing this. Some people have been doing it for 10. They're still working their full-time jobs. So don't think that just because you see the success that people still aren't working. It's coincide. Most people that I interview have full-time jobs and are still doing this, and they recognize that this is what I have to do, right? It's not because we're greedy and we want both. It's because we don't have a choice at the moment. We need both of these things to sustain us or whatever else. So if you're getting into business, if this is things that you're looking at, whichever it is, understand that it's a long game. Right. Yes. You're going to be in it for a long haul. And that sometimes you have setbacks. Things happen, life happens, like you said, your accident and things like that. That doesn't mean that you're derailed. If something like that derails you, then this probably wasn't something that was for you anyway. These are just minor setbacks, but you get back on and, you keep it going. So again, like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for lazy people because it is work. So I love that you're not going to pressure yourself in 2023. 2023 may be the year of no pressure, right?
Yes.
Just do it, let it come. When it's time, it'll do what it needs to do. So I absolutely love that. And right now you're finding success because sometimes being in the corporate world is connecting you to these other things that you need to be connected to. So cutting that tie, sometimes might not be so good, right? So yeah, you got to recognize, and you always got to be aware of where you are and what you're doing, and be able to be flexible and things like that. So I love the fact that the coach has a coach.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, definitely it works well. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up? Anything you need to tell the people, share with the people, anything that I didn't ask that you want to bring out? This is your time to.
You have everything you need to achieve your goals. You don't know, we can't promise when the date is going to be, but I just keep telling people, just start. Like, just start. Like you have enough right now. Just start and keep it moving from there. Just keep it moving from there.
Absolutely. One step at a time. Love that. Well, again, thank you so much for spending some time with me, especially on your vacation. I appreciate you doing that. I'm not going to hold you any longer because you said you got some dancing to do.
I
Uh,
do.
so we're going to let you go on and get your dance on. So we are going to end it here, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate the people who were in the chat. If you were not able to sit with us live, we will be on the replay. You can come to my channel at any time and you can pick up the replay. Go to Tashena's channel, subscribe here, and we will catch up with you next time, people. Okay?
Bye.
Bye. So hang on one second, Tashena, as I end this broadcast.